Hi, welcome to An Object a Day with Dan. I'm your host. That's me, I'm Dan. And so, to catch anyone up who didn't see the prior video, what I'm showing today is a bunch of hand-bound volumes of different Golden Age comic books. There's a few superhero ones in here, but I think the most interesting ones, to me at least, are the genre ones. So we were halfway through a collection of, it looks like this is kind of a bunch of different funny animal comics. You have some of that back matter. The back matter is fascinating. Peter Porkchops. Just this, I kind of like how the newsprint limits the coloring possibilities. I think you end up with. I feel like a lot of modern comics with the digital coloring, they'll kind of over render the textures, and it detracts from the line work to me, and it doesn't feel, you know, like it takes longer to read it. Like this, the reason this is such a simple drawing is that it adds to the dynamism and speeds up the pacing of the reading. Like, there's not much for me to look at. I get from top to bottom very quickly through directional devices. So he's holding that dollar bill, that gets you to there, tree takes you to that guy, hand takes you to there. This one doesn't really have any, but the poses are changing all the time. Everybody's in motion. That's what these comics are about. This is not Dostoevsky. There's probably not a lot of any kind of intellectual whatever that you're getting out of these books is something you probably brought to the table. It's not something that, I think this was quick stuff that people did because they wanted money to have food and housing. But that's a lot of the charm of these. I really like this one. Yeah, that blue is a really nice blue. Got crazy, let's see if I can, there we go. Okay, so this can lay flat. I wish there wasn't quite so much gutter loss here, but oh well. It still reads fine. And yeah, this feels almost like Gene Deitch, Milk Gross. Like, this panel feels very Milk Gross. It's a lot looser and even more cartoony. I love this panel. Um, and so, a lot of these Golden Age comics will have like short text pieces of. I feel like it was a government mandate that there had to be like educational material in these or something. Sometimes it's like a very short story. I think that's. Yeah, that's what this is. It's nobody's bringing their best work to the table on that kind of thing for the kind of page rates you'd be getting paid in this kind of book. This looks like it's some kind of propaganda comic. Oh yeah, okay, so it's yeah, so usually a feature wouldn't be a single page. Oh, okay. Oh shit. Superboy's telling you to join the NRA. Oh man, this is, we'll have to go back to this one. Oh my god. Boys and girls, join an adult supervised air rifle club. Learn to shoot your spring type air rifle properly. You'll have more fun and shoot to win NRA medals and local merchandise prizes. That aged oddly. Anyway, doodle stock, more of this, more of this. Um, oh, okay. Oh shit. Superboy's telling you to join the NRA. Oh man, this is, we'll have to go back to this one. Oh my god. Boys and girls, join an adult supervised air rifle club. Learn to shoot your spring type air rifle properly. You'll have more fun and shoot to win NRA medals and local merchandise prizes. That aged oddly. Anyway, doodle stock, more of this, more of this. I don't think I'm gonna read this whole one, but you got some. This might be Karl Barks. I have a hard time. Like, I can't tell Karl Barks just by looking at the pages, right? Because there were other Duck artists. In my head, I kind of presume it's all Karl Barks, but I'm gonna have to do a bigger deep dive on that stuff. Okay, so we got at least a lot of Donald Duck. This looks fun. Is this? Yeah, the Donald Duck comics, when they're good, they're very, very good, and when they're not so good, they're pretty not so good. Howdy Doody comics. I didn't know he got a comic, although, I mean, makes sense, right? This is the time when Howdy Doody was like a popular thing on television. Well drawn. This is probably better than the actual, or no, I've seen episodes. Yeah, this is definitely better than the actual Howdy Doody show. More animal stuff. Funny animals were huge back then. So it's kind of funny that like furries didn't come till later, because like the peak of this kind of funny animal material was the 30s. So you'd think like there would have been like Depression era furries, but I guess not. Weird looking trolls. Anyway, on to the next book. Let's see, what's the time so I don't get cut off? Okay, 6 minutes, so we got some time. So this is kind of a marathon episode. This is my pickup video, but I think you'll agree it's a pretty cool pickup. Yeah, so here's some Roy Rogers comics. It's not Alex Toth, but it has a little bit of that. I guess probably the common influences of people at the time that Toth would have also been picking up on. It's done well, at least based on what I looked at, because I did look up if some of this was Toth, because like later Toth, it's unmistakable. Golden Age Toth can be harder to delineate, I guess you could say. This definitely isn't Toth. This is probably like George Tuska, maybe. That's kind of a fun game with Golden Age comics. It's unfortunate that these people weren't credited, but there's, because of that, if you're like a person who likes to kind of obsessively research stuff, oh, this looks more, maybe that's Alex Toth. There's like a lot of big blacks compared to a lot of the other ones, but I don't know. I think there's only like 5. Oh, this is great. I love this page. The horse attacking the dude. But yeah, you just got some really crisp cartooning. Parts of this almost look like Seth, right? Those kind of very rounded, there's no like hard edges anywhere, even the edge of that guy's shirt. Neat stuff. Bunch of cowboys were big at this point. Yeah, Roy Rogers comics these are actually a lot better than I thought. Because a lot of the Roy Rogers comics, when you run into them with the covers, they just have photo covers and like, please don't hate me if I say that Roy Rogers, the man in Photograph, looks a little more corny today than maybe he did in 1950, 1948, or whenever this was published, sometime around then. Yeah, so these comics are a lot more interesting. I mean, I haven't sat down to read any of these books. I picked them up last night, and it's these are wild. You know, it's wild that somebody thought to do this that far back. And like the edges of the pages, I believe, are trimmed because they're uniform on the edge of the book. It's just a neat little set of objects. And it's going to be fun doing some restoration work and kind of looking a little more carefully at these. This looks a lot like later Alex Toth. This is very stylized for that period of time. I gotta look up more about that strip. That is creepy. This is so good. I gotta look this Bobby Benson's Barbie Riders. This looks like almost like heavy metal stuff. Maybe that's one of the mad artists that. This woman looks a lot like Johnny Craig or like one of the EC artists. Like they would draw women kind of like that. So I mean, a lot of guys drew women like that back then. Maybe that's not the way I should be trying to figure out who did what. And so the work of even figuring out, some of these have copyright pages on them. A lot of them, it just has the title page of the story. Depending how well documented the given series is, and a lot of these Golden Age series are not that well documented, I may or may not be able to figure out where all these stories came from and kind of put a table of contents on the front. But if I can, that would be cool. So, saving probably what you guys were all hoping for. Those of you who had any kind of hopes or expectations for this video, here's there's some Superman, there's some Superboy. This is Superman 88, and I believe the whole story is in here. It's you can kind of see why Captain Marvel outsold Superman for a lot of the 50s. It's okay, you know, there's like a cute story about him bonding with a dog or whatever. It could be worse. Shorty, more humor comics. Here's the, you could join the Superman of America fan club. More Superman. This might have been, so a lot of these Golden Age comics, they'd be like 64 pages, and the paper was a little bit bigger than comics paper is now. So this might still be okay. Yeah, up until here, this is Superboy 29. Got some fun Superboy doing stuff, people punching people, all that stuff you want out of superhero comics. Ugly babies doing things they're not supposed to do, giant turtles, like, can't hate on. Oh, is that Jimmy Olsen as a giant fucking turtle? Oh, that's good. Oh, no, okay, I think it just looks like Jimmy. I'll have to read that later. You've piqued my curiosity. 70-year-old comic book. I love how dweeby that face looks. But yeah, a whole bunch of Superman, Superboy. You know, I think Close took a lot of inspiration from Kurt Swan, who probably drew a fair number of these stories. I think he's like the only guy in all comics where Kurt Swan is kind of part of the makeup, but it makes sense when you see it. But I guess nobody else kind of read Kurt Swan that way. I always found him kind of a little bit boring, but let's see, what do we got here? We got Space Cadet, I want to say. Kind of doesn't look, it's neat, but it's not anything to write home about. This is a little more interesting. Somewhere in one of these, there's a complete Alex Toth Zorro story. That was the thing that immediately caught my eye when I first started looking at these after I picked them up. So let me see if I can get to that. You got some Pluto strips. This looks like, yeah, okay. This is the Alex Toth. So this is also the best preserved one of these books, which is convenient because this is probably the most, this would be the hardest one to replace as individual issues. Look at that. Oh my god, that's gorgeous. This is masterful cartooning. And it's so nice to have it. Loss of the Gutter almost works kinda in this weird way, but this is just this is a very nice surprise. There's not a ton of Toth stuff that's like full issues in this era, and I think because this was a Disney adaptation, he had more time and kind of money to, or time and resources to work on it. And oh my god, this is just masterful cartooning. That will definitely be looking at more carefully. Oh yeah, that's such a good oh, this must have been a like to be continued kind of thing, but that's a great page. Oh my god. Here's some of that, some of this, and just a neat record of an era, presumably from someone who like grew up with these comics and had a relationship to them. And you know, interesting to see what they held on to, you know, imagining kind of what state were these comics in when they got into these books. But anyway, that's been an object today. I'm still Dan. Keep it real, keep it fresh, and I'll see you tomorrow.